Welcome to Heart and Habits, the podcast where we explore faith, doubt, and the search for meaning. Today, we have a unique opportunity to hear a direct conversation between two individuals with very different perspectives on the concept of salvation. Joining us is Sarah, a lifelong Christian, and Mark, who identifies as an unbeliever and has some pressing questions. Welcome to the show, both of you.
Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Thanks for the invite. I'm interested to see where this goes.
Mark, you mentioned you have some questions about salvation, a core tenet of Christian belief. What's on your mind?
Well, honestly, the whole idea of salvation feels a bit archaic. Like, saved from what exactly? And why do I need saving in the first place? It sounds kind of dramatic.
That's a really valid question, Mark. The concept of salvation in Christianity stems from the understanding that humanity is separated from God due to sin. Sin isn't just about breaking rules. It's about a fundamental brokenness in our relationship with a perfect and holy God. Think of it like a deep chasm that we can't cross on our own. Salvation, then, is God's way of bridging that gap, of offering reconciliation and restoration.
Okay, sin. Another loaded term. I try to be a good person. I treat others with respect. I contribute to society. Why is that not enough? Why do I need this external saving?
That's a question many people wrestle with, Mark. And it's wonderful that you strive to be a good person. The Bible actually acknowledges that even those who don't believe in God often have a sense of morality and do good things. However, Christian belief goes deeper. It suggests that God's standard is absolute perfection and holiness. Our human efforts, while valuable, inevitably fall short of that standard. It's not about God not appreciating your goodness. It's about recognizing the inherent limitations of our human nature to fully align with His perfect nature.
So, if I can never be perfect, what's the point? It sounds like a system designed for failure.
Not at all. That's where the incredible grace of God comes in. Christians believe that God, in His love, sent His Son, Jesus Christ, to live a perfect life, one that we couldn't live, and then to willingly die on the cross as the ultimate sacrifice for our sins, for that brokenness that separates us. Salvation isn't about earning God's favor through our good deeds. It's about receiving His free gift of forgiveness and reconciliation through faith in Jesus.
Faith. That's another sticking point for me. It feels like I'm supposed to just blindly believe something without any concrete proof. I'm a pretty logical person. I like evidence.
I understand that completely, Mark. Faith isn't about abandoning reason, but rather about trusting in something beyond what we can see or touch. Think of it like trusting a loved one. You can't empirically prove their love, but you have experienced it and built a relationship based on that trust. For Christians, the evidence for faith comes in many forms. Personal experiences of God's presence, the historical accounts in the Bible, the transformative power of faith in the lives of believers throughout history, and even the intricate design of the universe, which many see as pointing to a creator. It's an invitation to explore and experience, not just a demand for blind acceptance.
The Bible? There are so many contradictions and historical inaccuracies that people point out. How can I trust something like that as the foundation for such a significant belief?
That's a fair challenge, Mark. The Bible is a collection of 66 books written over centuries by different authors in various contexts. Like any ancient text, it requires careful study, understanding its historical and literary context, and acknowledging that there can be different interpretations of certain passages. However, for Christians, the core message of God's love and the salvation offered through Jesus remains consistent throughout. Many of the so-called contradictions can be understood through a deeper understanding of the original languages, cultural nuances, and different literary genres within the Bible. There's a wealth of scholarly work dedicated to addressing these questions, and I'd be happy to point you to some resources if you're interested.
So, if I don't believe in Jesus, does that mean I'm automatically condemned? That seems pretty harsh.
That's a tough question, and one that Christians have different nuances in their understanding of. However, the core teaching in the Bible emphasizes that salvation comes through faith in Jesus Christ. It's not that God delights in condemnation, but rather that he has provided a specific way for humanity to be reconciled to him. Think back to the chasm analogy. Jesus is presented as the bridge. If someone chooses not to take the bridge, they remain separated. It's not about God arbitrarily excluding people, but about the provision he has made and whether we choose to accept it.
What about people who have never even heard of Jesus? What happens to them?
That's a question that weighs heavily on many Christian hearts. The Bible speaks of God's justice and his desire for all people to come to know him. There's a belief that God will judge those who haven't heard based on the light they did have, their conscience, the natural world around them. Ultimately, we trust in God's perfect justice and mercy to handle those situations. It underscores the importance for Christians to share the message of Jesus with those who haven't heard.
This all sounds very exclusive, like if you're not Christian, you're out. Isn't that a bit arrogant?
I understand why it might sound that way, Mark. From a human perspective, it can seem exclusive. However, from a Christian perspective, it's not about claiming superiority, but about sharing what we believe to be the truth about God's love and the way to reconciliation. It's like, if you found a cure for a deadly disease, wouldn't you want to share it with everyone? Not because you're better than them, but because you care about their well-being. For Christians, salvation through Jesus is that life-saving truth.
So, if I were to consider this, what would be the first step? What does it actually mean to have faith?
That's a wonderful question, Mark. It starts with an openness to the possibility that what I've been sharing might be true. It involves acknowledging that you might not have all the answers and being willing to explore further. Faith isn't just intellectual agreement, it's also a matter of the heart. It involves trusting in Jesus, not just as a historical figure, but as the Son of God who died and rose again for your forgiveness and new life. It's about turning away from self-reliance and turning towards him, asking for his forgiveness and inviting him to be a part of your life. It's a journey, not a one-time event, where you learn more about him through prayer, reading the Bible, and connecting with other believers.
Prayer? I've never really prayed before. What do I even say?
Prayer is simply talking to God, Mark. It doesn't have to be formal or eloquent. You can just speak to him honestly, just like you're talking to me right now. You can express your doubts, your questions, your desires, your fears. You can ask him to reveal himself to you, to help you understand. He's not looking for perfect words, but for an open heart.
This has been a really insightful conversation. Mark, thank you for your honest questions, and Sarah, thank you for your thoughtful and encouraging responses. It highlights the different perspectives and the core beliefs surrounding salvation.
Yeah, thank you both. It's given me a lot to think about.
It was a privilege to share, Mark. I truly hope you continue to explore these questions. The offer of grace and salvation is open to everyone.
We've been listening to a conversation about salvation between Sarah, a Christian, and Mark, who had some challenging questions. Sarah, do you have any final thoughts or encouraging words for someone who might be in Mark's position? Curious but skeptical?
Absolutely. To anyone listening who might be feeling unsure or skeptical, please know that your questions are valid and important. God isn't afraid of your doubts. In fact, he welcomes your honest searching. Don't feel pressured to believe something you don't fully understand. Take your time, ask questions, explore the evidence, and seek out reliable sources. There are many Christians who are willing to have these conversations with you, to share their faith and listen to your concerns. And remember, the core of the Christian message is one of love, grace, and hope. It's an invitation to a relationship with a God who loves you deeply and desires for you to experience true life and peace. Don't let skepticism be the final word. Allow curiosity to lead you on a journey of discovery.
That's a beautiful and encouraging message, Sarah. Thank you again to both of you for this open and honest dialogue. It's through these kinds of conversations that we can begin to understand different perspectives and perhaps even bridge some of those divides.